On the 1st of January 2001, it must have been, this play button felt an awful long way off. And I remember sitting there going, I can see, oh, somebody commented. I had 10 views on this morning, now it's got 15. Oh, this is so cool. And it was such a rush. It was amazing to kind of remember that there was a time when I knew exactly how many subscribers that I have or had on the channel, that I would go, I got 6 subscribers today. Today is a good day. And now I have an idea. I know it's 150 odd thousand, maybe by the time you watch this, maybe 151,000. And it seems like that journey has been equally frustrating, but also fantastic and wonderful. So I took all that advice that people had talked about with, Daryl Eves and what have you. And I keep referring to Daryl Eves because he was a big name that I kind of latched onto when I was starting to get going with trying to learn YouTube. And they talked about, you can't just make videos that you want to make, that you need to make videos that people want to watch. And I think, that really got my head up in a muddle. It was such a spin to sit there and say, well, hang on, I want to talk about photography and I want to make videos that I think are missing in the YouTube space. But I can't, because you've told me that doesn't work. So obviously the reason people, there aren't any videos like this because people don't want to watch them. So I kind of shied away from them at the beginning. I knew I didn't want to do gear videos because everybody on photography pretty much does gear reviews at some point. And I don't really care about gear. I mean, you can see, look at me. I'm in a spare bedroom with a piece of drop cloth here, sitting on a bed that I put muddy footprints on and stuff. Because all I want to do really is just communicate the idea of my journey with YouTube to helpfully say, my approach will not work for everybody, right? But it worked for me. And hopefully if you can pick out some bits of helpfulness from this, then that's fantastic. So, I'm sitting there making videos and then something happened. There was a video I made about William Eggleston and it started to get a bit of traction. It started to go little bit. I was like, oh, well, it got like 100 views today. Oh, it's now up to 500 views. And these were big numbers for me in those days. And this was the beginning of 2021. And I was sitting there, okay, well, there's some more stuff. And then, of course, what I was finding is that the people who were watching that William Eggleston video were watching my Andy Leibovitz video, and then my Richard Avedon video, my Anton Corbijn video, because they were all of a similar style. They were something that they watched the video that they first came across. In this case, it was the Eggleston one. I went, I quite like, that's interesting. Oh, look, there's one about another photographer. So it naturally led on to something. And that was like my biggest lesson, although I didn't remember it or didn't know it at the time, was that YouTube seemed to care about session time. And looking back, my gut feeling about why the channel started to get traction when it was new is that YouTube went, I know the kind of people who want to watch this. I'd made a huge mistake by telling people on Facebook, hey, I've launched a YouTube channel, go and watch it. Because often when you do that, it's not the sort of people who should be watching your videos, if that makes sense. There's a whole thing there, and it took me ages to figure this out. It's like, if I go and had gone and decided to take the shortcut and bought a bunch of views or a bunch of subscribers and stuff, they are not the core audience. They're not the sort of people who would have been drawn to my videos in the first place. So it would just really destroy, the initial growth of the channel, because YouTube would go like, I don't get it. These people's interests don't match up with things, which is it's a whole fussy little way of thinking about YouTube. And quite frankly, while I do have a customer avatar, if you want to call it that, for the photographic eye, I don't spend hours and hours poring over the sort of content that they want to watch, or the sort of person who they are and stuff. I kind of go, this is the sort of the vibe of the channel that they seem to enjoy. So there's no cuts and jumps and stuff. I was very open to that kind of feedback early on. There people said, why are you zooming in on images? Why are you cutting all the time? It's giving me a headache. So I went, okay, well this style of editing is not working for the people who are watching my videos. So I'm going to cut that right out. Pooey to whatever the perceived wisdom was at the time on YouTube, and just made videos much like this. I got my little obligatory pot plant and little light and a bookcase, and I put them up behind me, and I thought it needs to be very professional, forgetting that really it's the content. The content is what people were being drawn to, and they were watching more and more of the same content on my channel, and YouTube was digging that. They were loving it and just kind of going, wow, okay, let's find some more people for Alex. And then in that period between January and March, the 23rd, I want to say, but I may be wrong, but it's around about end of March. I watched those little dials. If you've started a YouTube channel recently, you know the ones, the little green, like you need 4,000 watch hours, you need 1,000 subs, and it's slowly creeping up, and it gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And then the day came along and there was an email came through and said, you have been accepted into the partner program on YouTube. And I was like, woohoo! And this was the moment I was waiting for. This was kind of like, okay, now I'm monetized. How much money am I going to make? So I was like on tenterhooks. I was going like, whoa, I don't know. I've been told, I need a million views to get like $2,000. I had no idea really about CPMs or RPMs or any of that kind of stuff in those days. And of course you had to wait 2 days because YouTube revenue reporting is 2 days in arrears. And it was just like, I have made $6. I was like, wow, that's not cool. But then, of course, I realized that I'd been monetized like halfway through a day. It was 1 day's reporting and kind of stuff like that. But it turned out that I was doing about 30, I think maybe $40 a day. So I was like, okay, it's not even close to how much I need to replace my photographic income, but it's a start. That seems pretty good. And then I had to wait ages to actually get paid, because again, you get paid the month after, a month in arrears, and it took a long time to get verified on the Google platform for AdSense for a variety of reasons, but eventually I went through it. And top tip, if you are struggling with getting your address verified on AdSense, once you've gone through the sort of verification process a few times and I've sent out the pins again like that, I got nowhere trying to ask Google AdSense team for help. So I reached out to YouTube and they manually verified me. So if you are bashing up against that, just get in there and ask YouTube. Once you've had to wait for the pin to be sent to you, like in the post, because of course, I think it must be about 3 months. So my first AdSense paycheck was actually kind of 3 months all in one. And I think it was $1,000, $1,500. So I was like, well, hey, that's, okay, that's more. That's kind of, we're getting there. And all of that came about almost by accident. I hadn't really followed any of the specific advice, but instead I'd kind of done something that went contrary to all that advice. And if you want to find out what that advice is, check on this link over here. And when you do these things, note what I'm doing, right? This is the biggest secret little hack thing ever, is just to say, watch this video.